Hey everybody, this is Alessandro, welcome back. So before I jump to the next topic, I just want to mention very quickly that I'm working on a body mechanic shot, a tutorial. I know you guys, those are mostly the tutorials that you enjoy the most, but it takes a lot of time. Okay guys, I hope you understand that doing this quality animation sometimes can take weeks or months, and which is at the moment a time I don't have with my job. So I still try to do my best to compile a very little tutorial, so hope you guys you're gonna appreciate that and stay tonight for the next one. But go back to this series, like how did I become an animator. This time I want to focus on my job experience. Okay guys, so last time I talked about it, how I went through animation mentor. For me it wasn't enough, I had to get a private mentor to improve my portfolio and everything. And at the end I come up with my reel, and I'm telling you guys, the reel was quite good. At the end I was quite happy, and I sent a few curriculum in 1 month and a half, more or less. I get a good job offer, which was in Crytek in Budapest. Crytek is a game company for console and PC. So I was very excited. I went there. I think the job was my first job overseas. So definitely It was a very exciting, maybe a bit scary as well, opportunity, because usually I was not very used to speaking English all the time, and I never lived overseas. So it was kind of mix of feeling, but definitely I was very excited. And the things actually I learned immediately as soon as I started to work in a professional studio is that it's very different from studying animation at school or at home, where basically in animation mentor they give you your task, you have 4 weeks to do it. Your mentor give you feedback, but more or less the direction is always clean. And then you have your shot, you finish it, and you can compile it and be all happy, showcase it to your demo reel. And when it comes to work, especially games, is another world. Okay, so forget about spending all this time to polish your own animation, make it look good, because if you do that, then you're gonna show it to your designer or your your animation director, and it might give you some feedback. They might change your opinion. You have to start all over. You test it in game, and suddenly you realize it's not good. The animation needs to be more reactive, so you might have to cut the anticipation, or the gesture that you did make no sense instead of a level design, okay, or things like that. So I would say the things that I learned the most, that I think is more valuable, is being very smart and fast when there is time for it. So you can experiment very quickly, not to be attached to your own animation, especially at the beginning, because there is high chance that animation is not gonna go through to the final project. So it's very important to test things very quickly. Still do a decent post, so like people know more or less what's going on, what is your animation about, but definitely not spending too much time to polish, at least at the beginning. Okay guys, what is the part you're gonna experiment the most? Because if you start to do all that polish and put all the effort at the beginning, and then they say, oh no, this is really good, but we change the design of the game, and then the animation get discarded, you are gonna get very demotivated, especially if it happened 1, 2, 3, 4 times. Okay guys, and I'm telling you, when I went to Crytek, my first game company, AAA game company, it's not about that my job was discarded, it's that the project restart a couple of times. So it means for 6 months we work on something with a direction, and then we completely change it and restart all over again. So whatever work you did for 6 months was gone, and of course was very brutal. So you have to learn very quickly not to get too attached to something. Of course there is a point then when you enter in production, okay, towards the end of the game, when things are more solid, and you know more or less that the kind of work that you've done is going to be into the game. Then you can spend time to polish it, and make it look good. And of course there is always balance, depends from company to company. And another things that I learned was to use motion capture, because I was coming from from keyframe animation, and motion capture is completely different. They give you again a movement that is mostly done, you have to exaggerate it. And another things that I learned very quickly is that motion capture is not good for everything. Okay, it's good for certain things. When it comes things that are very physical, sometimes it's not good, because the amount of work you have to redo is completely, it's so much that makes no sense actually. If you're doing first person animation, one of the mistakes that I think they did is, like, we were doing a first person game and they wanted to do the mock-up for the first person character, and it makes no sense, it didn't work at all. So we have to rework using keyframe. So yeah, those were all lessons, some brutal, some very interesting lessons that I learned, that definitely helped me to to push my skill. Okay, it's not only about animation, but it's just about workflow and how be efficient at work. Okay, so that's one of the most important things. So once this was done, after a couple of years, guys, I'm gonna be honest, I realized that I didn't want to do that kind of job anymore. Okay, I didn't want to be a mock-up clean artist. Okay, and I enjoy keyframe and everything, and I knew in that company, the company wasn't going towards that direction. Okay, and so basically what I did one more time, I knew with a real based on motion capture I wouldn't get any job. So one more time I have to do in my free time my own demo reel. Okay, maybe polish some of the animations that didn't work and make entire new animation for my own portfolio. So that means, guys, one more time that when my friends were getting drunk, having fun, going to a bar, I was staying at home working the evening, in the weekend. And it's a sacrifice I was willing to do, because yes, I already had a job, I already had a good pay, and considering that the city was quite cheap. But you, at least me, I always tend to think about the future. I didn't see a good future for myself, so I knew I wanted more, and I knew I had to do sacrifice for it, and that's what I did. And again, I don't listen to suggestions and things like that, because some people were telling me, Alessandro, you already have a job, keep it, don't be too ambitious, stuff like that. No, I don't listen to all that, and I go for my road. So I did that, and again, after a few months, after I spent 2 years and a half in this company, I get a few interview. One of them, I'm gonna be really honest with you guys. One of them I was really excited because it was a CD project. I know they were working on The Witcher 3, which is like a genre I really love it. Okay, I love fantasy, I love combat. So for me, it was kind of a dream back then to work over there. And I got the interview, I did the test, I fly over there to do the on-site interview. We had a few interviews, everything was so good. I was so excited. Unfortunately, at the end, I had to turn down their offer because we didn't find a good agreement when it comes to money and payment. So I was really, really disappointed, because I thought it was like a dream job for me working there, and I wouldn't mind still stay there in Europe. So I was so disappointed. I still remember talking with my mates, my colleagues, like that I was so excited about this job, and then I couldn't get it because I turned down the offer. But at the end, it was a good choice, and I'm telling you why. Because 2 months later, that I was still looking for a job, I received a message from a teacher from Animation Mentor, actually my teacher, and he was my mentor, and I really admire him. I really love the way he teaches and everything. And he told me that he got a job offer in Singapore as animation director for a TV series and a potential feature film. So I'm telling you guys, when he told me that and he offered me this opportunity, I was so excited to work with him on an feature film that I accepted immediately. Okay, I didn't think about it back then. I'm ashamed to say I didn't know exactly what was Singapore yet. I was like, okay, I know I'm gonna work with these amazing guys, and I'm gonna push my skill a lot, and that's how I accepted the job immediately. And I went there. I was so happy. He recruited other people from Animation Mentor, so all people were super passionate guys, and the project that we work on was Oddbots, and it was so interesting at the beginning. It was so different from games or from any other feature film or TV show, because basically, in Oddbots we have those 7 small little characters, and you have one single shot, 40-second sequence that you have to do by yourself in 1 month. Okay, so it's not connected to anyone else. It's a single short movie, let's call it like this, and you are responsible for everything. So basically it means that you receive a storyboard, okay, and you are in charge to improve the storyboard if the story is not good enough, do the layout, and do the animation. Everything is on you from start to the very end. Okay, of course the director will help you to push the pose and everything, but you have to take the responsibility for everything. And I'm telling you guys, it's a bit scary, because you know what, when you're working in a TV show or a feature film, if you're doing only a small shot, okay, 2-3 seconds, even if it's not the best, it's still part of a big picture done by other 20-30 animators. In this way, you have a 40-second story and you are responsible for everything. So if it sucks, it's completely on you, okay? It's entirely your responsibility. You cannot hide behind anyone on anything, So it was very scary, to be honest, and I was afraid I was not the right person. I was, at the beginning I was afraid, what about if my mentor, James, he underestimated me, over-evaluate me, thinking I'm good for this thing that actually I'm not. So especially at the beginning, I was staying at work very late because I want to prove myself good. and it was a challenge. It was a big challenge, and sometimes not all my shots will look good, some of them looking better than other, but overall I think I was growing. Okay, and at some point when I realized I started to become very fast, okay, when it comes to animation, and that's the part that I learned the most, because it's not anymore about animation at this point. It was mostly about learning how to be efficient, okay, learning how to solve problem. And when I say solve problem, it's not technically anymore, it's about the story. So for example, I know this story, this sketch is not very fun, I need to find very quickly a way to make it entertaining. Okay, so that the kind of problem solving that became very useful, even actually more useful than the animation itself, you know, and finding those problems and execute them really fast. In fact, at one point I became really fast, maybe one of the fastest in the company. I was not necessarily the best one in terms of quality. There were a few animators that were better than me when it comes to pure quality of animation, but at the end I was one of them finishing early, and actually with the extra time I could actually help other animators that were struggling to finish their shot, so I can finish their shot for them. And this is something a company might appreciate even more before you know, before just putting quality, you know, because at the end of course everybody wants to put the best quality as you can, but at the end is also like finishing your you know, your shot and everything. And because of this, at the end, when the animation supervisor, the animation director left the company, they put me in charge of the team. Okay, so they put me there. I had a new team joining this show, okay, that basically have very little experience of animation, and it was my first time as a supervisor. I had to train them, you know, find the best way to teach them, learn how to put, you know, the energy into a shot, you know, let's learn where to focus, okay, and make sure the animator can go faster and can also learn a little bit. I'm not gonna be honest, I'm gonna be honest guys, it was super challenging this part, and again I was still very afraid I was not the right person for it, but at the end it turned out things to go really well, okay. Of course at the beginning the quality of the animation was kind of inconsistent. That's what happened when suddenly you have a bunch of new people joining into a show. But so yeah, I felt like, guys, that during this 4 years in Singapore, I learned a lot. I learned about a different skill that, you know, it's different from animation, and that's why I realized slowly I had potential in teaching and training other people, and how this kind of skill actually might have more value than actual animation. But again, doing 4 years like this in Singapore, I enjoy, I learn a lot, I love the city. That's actually, I'm back here in Singapore. But after a while, I knew I wanted to push my skill as animator, because I knew now I learned about direction. I knew now that I learned about teaching other people, but I think I was lacking again in pure quality of animation. And, you know, because I wanted to stay on top of the game, I felt like, okay, I need to go back and polish my skill. So as you know, as you've seen probably in one of my other videos, I spent a couple of years to do my own video, my own not video reference, my own portfolio, my own demo reel, to look at a job in feature film. Okay, and that's what I did for a couple of years. So I quit after 4 years. I quit my job in Singapore, and I looked for a job in feature film, and I moved to Canada. I got 3 job offers in Micros, Sony, and Meadow Studios. Okay. Definitely, again, it was a complete change from supervising, go back to have your own shot, okay. So definitely in this case you have time finally to focus on polish and quality. I'm gonna be honest, my first time in Micros I struggled a little bit with the direction of the company. It wasn't not only me. I think there was a struggle where the director being over picky considering the timing and the budget that we have. So me and few other animators struggle a lot, but at the end I managed to go through it. But the part actually where I learned the most is when I went to Sony, because now I had a good training, okay. And when I go to Sony, it was completely different, because in Sony animation they focus mostly on polish and timing, especially if you guys see all the Hotel Transylvania movie. Okay, as you can see how they hold the pose, they snap very quickly from one pose to another. So instead of making sure the movement looks soft and polished and overlapping and everything, is basically most going from one pose to another and learn how to do the blend shape for those poses, right? So it was a completely approach for that. If you guys are interested, I have a YouTube tutorial on my channel about it. You can go and take a look. So definitely that's the part I learned the most. And because in the other company I suffer a lot, when I was in Sony I was actually very fast. It's true, to be honest, that they give me very small shot, nothing too complicated, because I just joined in the last few months. Okay, so I was not expecting to do any major particular shot, but whatever they give me, usually they give me as a deadline a couple of weeks or something, and usually I always finish in 5 days, in 6 days. So I always finish things very early. I became very good in production, I would say. And then at the end I went to, you know, method and everything over there, same things, but you know, still very interesting experience. Nothing new. There was a few shots I did quite well, another one I wasn't really happy about it. But after all this, guys, after I work in this 3 company in feature film for 1 year and a half, I realized, even though I had a good experience and I pushed my skill as animator, I realized very quickly, guys, that's not the life that I want. Because most of those companies, basically they will hire you for 4 months only, just to help them to finish their job, and then they're gonna send you away. They basically lay off most of the animators. And I realized this is not what I want. I don't want to keep jumping from company to company every 4 months. I wanted some security. And even though I love to, you know, to work on feature films and to work on you know, like I have my title in the credits and so on, that these things are really exciting. But at this point, guys, I'm 37. I'm looking more for a security, you know, a company where I potentially can grow my skill and stay longer, not just be there for 4 months. Because also I don't feel really that I belong to the company, to that group of people, if after 4 months I have to leave, right? So that's why I go back to games. I apply in Singapore as a lead animator. I had several interviews before this one, but you know, the people were happy with my experience, but I felt like the most interesting part was going back to Ubisoft, because I love some of the P that they're doing. I love the project that they're doing right now, and I love Singapore. The city itself is really good. So all those things combined together, you know, make me really happy and excited to get here. And one little things, guy, I want to mention that after my experience in Canada, I was mostly looking at experience as a lead or senior. And I can tell you that that's during that time, during the break, that's the moment when I started to do my YouTube channel here. And I can tell you guys, because I was just, you know, teaching tutorial about body mechanics and things like that, when I apply for a job as a lead animator, you really make the difference, I can tell you. Because when I was sending my, you know, my email, say, hi, I'm Alessandro, I'm looking for a job, this is my demo reel, this is my CV with all my experience. The other things I could say, like, hey, I already have experience in teaching, I work as a supervisor, and I have a YouTube channel now where I'm teaching for free animation, and this is some example of how do I teach, okay? And this was really good. People really appreciate it, because now they have a tangible proof of what I'm able to do it, okay? It's not just words, okay? They actually could see how I teach, okay? And some of them, they replied to me back and say, hey, Alessandro, we like your reel. We also saw your YouTube. It's really fun, really entertaining. I like the technique that you're using. It's very clean. It's easy to understand, okay? That's really, you know, play in my favor for me, guys. And at the moment, as I mentioned to you guys, I'm in Singapore. I'm enjoying my life and my job here. It's very different right now. I'm doing very little of animation. I'm mostly training the team, managing and teaching them, which I'm completely fine with it. So it's something that I love, because that's what eventually I think my career is going slowly. We'll see if one day I'll have the chance to, you know, become an animation director. It's something I would love to, but it's something I want to explore very slowly. So yeah, that's more or less my you know, all my path from studying animation at the beginning, you know, doing all my failure, study again, and do all my job experience until now. I didn't want to go too much in details, guys, because I didn't want to bother you too much. I just want to give you a quick overview. So I hope you guys enjoy. If you have any questions, something you would like to know, you know, about this topic, please drop in the comments. I'll try to answer you guys, or if the answer is or if your question is very interesting, I'm gonna make a video about it and discuss with all of you guys. Okay, see you next time. Ciao.